Where does your preferred candidate stand on genetically modified organisms? Well, if your preferred candidate is a New Democrat, they stand firmly on the side of anti-science quackery. No, really, they do. The federal NDP is firmly in support of GMO labeling under the pretense of consumer rights. They put out a national food strategy document called Everybody Eats, which was a weird name. It sort of reminded me of that old potty training book, Everybody Poops, but I digress. They say in section 4.2 of that document that they're going to ensure clear, accurate, and verifiable labeling for products that have undergone genetic modification. And they're serious. Here's Jacqui Gingras at an anti-Monsanto rally. Do you remember her? She's the NDP candidate for the BC riding of North Okanagan-Shuswap. And she's also the anti-Albertan candidate that my Jobs Minister, Laurie Sigurdsson, took the time to go campaigning for earlier this month. If it's not the oil patch this woman is protesting, it's Alberta farmers. Here's Ryan Kelly. He's the NDP candidate for the Ontario riding of Whitby-Durham, and he's pushing the issue of GMO labeling. Whitby-Durham is a partly rural riding. What would the farmers think of this? Well, the farmers I spoke to yesterday are worried. And it seems they have good reason. They're worried because they think the NDP policy is driven by activism and not by science. And they're probably right. Here's Tom Mulcair with teenage anti-GMO activist Rachel Perrant. They had a behind closed doors meeting, and there were no farmers invited to this meeting. Farmers are worried about scaring the public. Cautionary warnings on the products they produce can give the impression that GMO foods are unsafe, when in fact the opposite is true. 1,700 independent studies have shown otherwise. Billions of GMO meals have been served for decades with zero instance of illness related to these meals. Farmers are concerned the warnings are just bad optics for a good industry. According to one of my favorite websites, agriculturemorethanever.ca, who compiles their numbers using StatsCan data, Canadian agriculture is responsible for 1 in 8 jobs in Canada. Canada is the world's largest producer of canola, an almost exclusively GMO crop. Canada exports $1 billion worth of soybeans annually. It's also a largely GMO crop. Canadian farmers have worked hard to make sure Canadian agriculture and the brands they represent are internationally recognized as safe and reliable. And the NDP is poised to undo all that. I'd rather know, like Ontario farmer Mike Pastor suggested in an interview with the Western Producer on August 20th, if my chocolate was made using child labor, or for that matter, if my bananas are funding jihad in Somalia like they did in the 1990s. The parties on the left are constantly claiming they make science-based policy decisions, when they don't. They don't when it comes to agriculture, they don't when it comes to our natural resources, and they really don't when it comes to Alberta. For TheRebel.Media, I'm Sheila Gunn Reid.